Oh, how sweet. When Margaret was talking about the baptism of blood, it made me think of my own baptism when I became the little adorable Antichrist. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name's EJ Marino and this is About Last Night, the show where I talk about the TV show I saw last night. We're diving into a brand new episode of American Horror Story 1984. In this week's episode, we learned about the true killers of Camp Redwood. Also, we learned that this is a great season. Another episode in the books, and I'm going, yeah, I really love this season. I am curious of the elements. I'm curious of what's going to happen, like the whole big mid-season twist. We know there's one coming, but so far, I am loving everything this show is offering. I think it's equal parts campy, but probably the goriest season I have ever seen. That scene where he's in the broiler, I was like, ugh, like the claustrophobia of that, and I'm not the most claustrophobic person, but that was tight and hot. Oh no, my chubby ass was like, I cannot handle that scene. But yeah, overall, I'm just really loving the style of this season. I think they were perfecting everything that they've wanted to. Like, this was a season I thought was a bold choice. A 1980s slasher homage is weird because American Horror Story has never done something like this. Well, I'm happy that they've saved this kind of homage season for this one because it is so damn juicy. Our episode begins with Montana doing poppers. Oh, sorry. She's teaching an aerobics class, but she has to do a little warm-up, and I'm like, okay, Montana, that's how you get through your aerobics session. This is a really cool intro because, again, every episode I have said it needs to begin with a cool kill and end with a twist. This one started with a very cool kill because Montana has this dude in her class that's a little sassy. He said, hey, I'm tired of hearing Billy Idol, Rebel Yells, Not My Tea. Let's listen to Cyndi Lauper. And she's like, I hate him. And who's in her class this time? Richard Ramirez, being like, ooh, I love your Billy Idol. You're so cool. Oh my god, he calls her, what was it, Bubblegum Barbie? He was like, wow, Bubblegum Barbie likes some blades. I love that line. And, you know, this is him going, oh, I'm in your class. This is cool. Something, I don't know why he's there, like, particularly, but it's interesting. And, you know, he hears the guy kind of mouth off to Montana, and Montana's like, oh god, he needs to go. And oh my god, he goes straight to hell because he is eviscerated. Like, there is guts all over the place. Montana finds him, and she was just like, oh my gosh, a man has never done something so sick for me. I love it. And they hook up. Like, there's that scene where he's like licking her feet. Look, I think this Richard Ramirez guy is like cute in this show, not the real one, the one in the show. And like, I don't know, him licking my foot, and that was just a odd ass scene. And I can only imagine the actors doing that and like laughing their asses off because I was like, what is this scene? What is this intro? But this really did set up a lot because we find out Montana has some beef with our girl Brooke because whoever said this in my comments like last week, good job on you. We found out that Montana, her brother, was the best man that allegedly Brooke hooked up with, that her fiance shot at that wedding massacre. Yeah, that was her brother. So now Montana's like, I need to get my revenge on that girl. She's a horrible person, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, another revenge plot. We'll talk about the other revenge plot. Like, I like this one. I thought that was a really good start, and it added some more backstory. Again, I said this last week, everyone's walking into Camp Redwood with their own weird backstory, with a really strange life. I think this is purgatory. Like, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm thinking, like, y'all have having to pay for your sins, and your sins are being paid for by getting murdered and maybe not staying dead. We'll talk about that. Right after that Montana intro, we jump into, like, the present story, and we have Chet still badly hurt. Xavier and Trevor are trying to figure out what to do. Chet is, like, passed out dead, and they're like, what do we do? Trevor decides to Pulp Fiction this shit and, like, wake him up with some adrenaline. I thought that was a really good scene because I was like, this isn't gonna work, this isn't gonna work, this is gross, oh my god. I like when he was just like, is this gonna work? And Trevor's like, is it gonna make it worse? Like, dude is dead. A shot of adrenaline, just wasted adrenaline. Such a good scene. Really set up the, like, weird dynamic that, like, they all do care. None of these people are great people, but they're still trying to not be horrible ones. Like, we had Trevor and Xavier not wanting to leave Birdie and Margaret behind, them trying to save Chet here. I really like these characters. As much as Trevor skeezes me out, I think he's the grossest dude ever. Matthew Morrison, good job, because you're usually so clean and clean. Birdie, so gross here. But yeah, I really like that they show that they are not horrible people. And then we have like this kind of set up some other stuff in the episode, because they're looking for Margaret, and then we also have Xavier going on his own looking for Birdie. He runs into Birdie. She's making sandwiches, not having a goddamn idea what's happening. And that cuts to Jingles running into Birdie. Oh my gosh, I like this scene because I got to see a little bit more emotions from John Carroll Lynch's Mr. Jingles. Love it. There's that interaction with him and Birdie together. They're kind of bonding. He cuts the crust off his sandwiches, because I get it. I don't like crust on my sandwiches either. Not gonna make me a murderer, but I'm just saying I agree with Jingles there. He hears Xavier hiding, and that's it for him. He like attacks Birdie. He throws Xavier in the broiler. Disgusting. Like, that was one of the grossest things Horror Story has ever done. I mean, I've seen some weird stuff on this show. I've seen weird horror movies, but something just watching, I was gonna describe what I saw, but no. This is pretty cool because this is also another good moment where we saw good people trying to do good things. Like, Birdie goes to try to save Xavier that's in the broiler. She does, and he's like, cool, thanks. Oh, you want me to kill you? And Birdie wants him to die because Birdie's like a hot mess. When we find her, she looks like hell. God, Jingles must have done some damage to her, which we'll find out. I kind of feel bad that Jingles felt like he needed to do that. Now, while all of that is happening, Brooke is still recovering from what fake Rita did to her. She's still a little bit like dazed and confused. She wakes up, tries to escape, finds out there is just a bunch of traps, like we saw that weird Pujambi pit trap. We also find that there is like bear traps, that one hanging down one, and then there's that net that Brooke gets caught into, and we have Miss Donna finding her and going, oh cool, guess what I'm doing? Just trying to do my experiment as a psychiatrist. And she's like, cool, as a psychopath, like, just because you are not directly murdering me, you are a murderer. But like, Donna calls her a lab rat, and I was like, sick, disgusting, but accurate to what she's doing. So this is all the stuff, and this is where Brooke is like hiding, or sorry, Brooke is up there, and Montana finds her, and now we know Montana wants to kill her, but she wants Richard Ramirez to do it, not Jingles. So this is where Montana's like, I'll be back, I'll go get help in the form of my man Richard Ramirez. Oh my god, them hooking up is the sickest, weirdest couple, but I'm also here for their interactions here. Yeah, so we have Brooke just hanging up here, while we have like Donna, which is the fake Rita, and Montana just like, which one of our killers are gonna kill her? Like, I wish they were like taking bets, like sitting next to each other, like, girl, my killer's gonna do it. No, my killer's gonna do it. No, they didn't have it. They're actually beef and they fight. We'll talk about all that in a little bit, because that's really all that's, yeah, no, actually, we'll talk about that right now, because I have so many feelings of this weird fight scene between the killers. We have Jingles going up against Richard Ramirez. We have, Donna versus Montana, because they're like, no, bitches, we're gonna fight. They're getting into it as like a little girl fight. Montana knocks out, Donna, fake Rita, and I'm like, oh, I thought she died, which, did she? Like, tell me what you guys thought about that, because I thought she, like, knocked her out, like, dead. Not that, and at the end, there's something else that happens, we'll talk. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. So while all of that, like, their little fight's happening, Jingles and Ramirez are going at it. Brooke breaks free out of that, like, net, and she's like, cool, I'm gonna go, bye, oh, have fun, killer guys, I'm gonna go. Let you guys deal with what you're dealing with, and that is Jingles impaling Richard Ramirez through a goddamn tree, like, through the mouth. It gave me a little bit of Cannibal Holocaust. It gave me old school Friday the 13th vibes. Again, goriest season yet. That was really dope to see, and I really liked this serial killer battle. I thought them hacking and slashing at each other, it was really, really interesting. Like, Ramirez was so cocky, Jingles was so not cocky, but Jingles knew what he was doing. Such a great fight scene between these two, such a great scene. What a great kill there too, with Jingles impaling him through. The way Birdie died, the way he was gonna kill Xavier, Mr. Jingles is nasty. Or is Mr. Jingles nasty? Because, oh, here's the big twist of the episode. When they called this true killers, it's because we found out who the true Camp Redwood killer in the 70s was. It was Margaret. So they had this earlier flashback where she's talking about Jingles, and they show that they have this slight connection in the 70s. She's one of the camp counselors, and he's the, kind of weird guy who, like, is the groundskeeper guy. He's groundskeeper's Willie, basically. Like, he's there, and they're getting made fun of by the other camp counselors. She's, like, super, like, upset about it, but then he cuts his finger, and she sucks some blood, and I'm like, Grossman, in my notes I wrote, oh god, she got him to do the murders, didn't she? And I'm like, oh, that's what it's gonna be. They had their crazy face off, and guess what? Margaret never had Jingles do the murders. She did the murders. Like, that is a great... We all knew she was the Mrs. Voorhees. I thought she was, like, masterminding, puppet mastering this. No, she was the killer in the 70s and had Jingles set up. The one that she was supposed to care about, she had him set up. Set there with the Nam, like, lie... Well, not the lie, but, like, all the Vietnam stuff with him. They sent him through electroshock therapy. I can't believe that's something we used to do, let alone what we were doing to people we presume to be killed. It's insane, and this really sets up, again, John Carroll Lynch is such a great actor, and I knew his Mr. Jingles would have layers. Now, he's still a killer, he still killed, he tried to kill, like I said tonight, he tried to kill Xavier, he tried to kill Ramirez, he killed the gas station dude. But he was driven to do that in a different way. I'm not justifying the murders, but I'm saying the way that he was manipulated in his mind, they built a killer. And it's so sad that Margaret just manipulated him the way she did from the 70s and now even in the scene. But don't worry, like, he's about to go kill her. She pops him off a couple times. And I'm like, holy hell, we were in episode 4. We had Jingles die, all of these other people dying, Ramirez dies. No, surprise! Jingles is not there after she kills him. She turns around, Trevor's like, we got you, and she's like, yeah, I got you, stabbed in the goddamn gut. What? Like, first off, shoot, like, stab him in his big penis. Like, that's the whole gimmick of him. Use it. But anyways, not condoning penis stabbing. Just a good plot point. After Margaret does her killing of Trevor, not in the penis, she turns around and Jingles is not there. He has escaped. He's running around like looking for somewhere to go, bumps into Xavier, and Xavier's like, oh, hi, what's doing, and swipes at him and turns around and Jingles isn't there anymore. A weird, like, Jingles has that Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers vibe where I'm like, here 1 minute, gone the next, and that's kind of weird. That was a weird moment, but he had a moment was like, please, I think Xavier was gonna ask him to die because, like, he wants to be a movie star and looks like this. That was a good moment. Brooke runs into Xavier. They all hear a giant explosion. Go find the explosion, and it's the last remaining car has exploded. After everyone heard the Margaret gunshots, everyone heard the explosion, head to this exploded car. Margaret's there with, she's there with Chet, and she's there now with Montana. All of them are together, and I'm like, oh, cool. Oh, no, sorry, Chet's not there. He's still, where is Chet? Poor Chet. Like, I liked me some Kenworthy, but I'm like, what did you do this episode other than get, like, shot in the chest with adrenaline? So everyone's at the car. Margaret does her great big lie, and I'm like, oh, God, disgusting. I can't believe she's gonna win. We think the episode is ending. Margaret did all her big stuff with the car, and I'm like, okay, cool. We go over to the woods. We see Rita, and I'm like, oh, Rita's not dead. She's awake. Speaking of not dead, Richard Ramirez isn't dead either. He's being brought back to life by Satan, I think, like floating in the air, some ooky spooky stuff, and I'm like, okay. And Rita sees all of this, and I don't usually talk about the preview for next week, but we do see them interacting there, and he's saying, the Dark Lord brought me back, and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't know Michael Langdon was still busy. Interesting. Like, it's really, really cool. I thought this was such a great ending, such a cool shock moment, and really shows that this season is going to be very strange. And that concludes my review of the latest episode of American Horror Story called True Killers. What did you think of this episode? What did you think of this review? Again, I think this is one of the best seasons so far and a great episode. Maybe not as on par with last week's episode, which I really loved, but this one, a great backstory episode, a great reveal episode, such a good time. What did you guys think of it? Let me know down in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe to my channel because I make videos like this every single week. You will not want to miss as I continue to have my mind blown by American Horror Story. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up because YouTube takes us way too seriously. Alright guys, let's talk about American Horror Story below.